Hi, my moneymakers. Welcome back to the Spoiled Girls Invest podcast. In today's episode, we're talking about how to have FU money and why keeping your money in a bank is dangerous. so, we're here in light of all the crazy stuff on the news, the recent bank collapse with the Silicon Valley Bank. And there was another bank as well that collapsed, and the FDIC had to step in and basically bail them out and assure all the customers who had large sums of money in the bank. Typically, the FDIC only insures people's bank accounts up to $250,000, but Silicon Valley is home to a lot of rich tech millionaires and billionaires. So, because the government and the banking system doesn't want to offend these rich people, they decided it would be best to step in and, cover any losses, probably to avoid any lawsuits or drama. So that happened. And it's kind of making people talk more about um, the banking system, how banks work, and kind of like the lies and the veil that has been placed over most people's eyes, because most people grow up thinking, if you want to keep your money safe, you should put it in a bank, because you know that when you deposit money in it, it'll stay in there unless, you yourself spend it or withdraw it, right? So banks are always seen as a safe option, and it's seen as like the good thing to do, right? Because we associate not using a bank and not using a bank account with like people who are criminals, people who make their money illegally. We know those kind of people can't put their money in a bank because they're running illegal enterprises. So we see banks as something that good civilians, good citizens, good law abiding folks are supposed to use, right? But wrong, because the bank is not as secure as we've been told and programmed to believe. I'm not saying that we need to adopt a radical approach and never use banks, loans from the banks, mortgages from the banks, none of that. I still think that the bank plays an important role, but I think that we need to be able to see beyond just putting your money in a bank account and saving it, because um, we never know when a situation like this could occur again. And, maybe in that situation, the FDIC doesn't step in. If it's a bank where many average Americans are affected, people who may only have, people who don't have millions or billions of dollars in the bank, but people who have, their life savings in that bank account. And if it does exceed 250,000, they may not be able to recover that extra amount. So I think it's important for people to, expand their frame of their their mentality and their current framework about the security of banks, and also understanding that that myth that banks have done a good job at marketing their safety and security and reliability to us as the average um, American citizens. But in fact, they promised us that safety and that reliability. But in actuality, the banks are taking our money that we deposit and they're doing a whole bunch of stuff with it, right? That's why these kind of collapses occur, because basically the banks loan out more money than they actually have in their reserves, from their actual deposits from their customers. And so when they go too far and when they loan out too much money, that's when these collapses happen. That's the same thing that happened in the 2008 crisis, with the real estate and housing crisis, because the banks were loaning out too much, too many loans, too many mortgages, and it just led to sort of like a bubble where there was just too much overspending and overgiving, to the point where it affected with the natural um ratios that are supposed to be in the marketplace, and it makes it so that there's more inflation and there's more money circulating in our economic system, and so there's more competition for the same amount of goods and services that we actually have, right? So let's say there's only 20 houses available to buy, but 50 people in that area have been given loans by the bank. Well, then those 50 people have all this loan money and they're all competing for those same 20 houses. And I know that's a very simplified explanation, but yeah, I'll move on from that because I'm not a banker. I'm not in banking, so I can't give an in-depth analysis. But that's basically just my simplified way of looking at it, because I want to shift people more into recognizing the importance of investing, because we never hear about this when it comes to brokerage institutions. We never hear about companies like Vanguard or Fidelity collapsing, or people losing their stock portfolios or anything like that. We never hear about that because that's actual money, that's actual assets and liquid cash that people invest, and then it's able to grow. Um, I also can't explain in depth how the stock market works, how interest and capital gains work. I can't describe any of that. But I can tell you, mm, I've never heard of anyone losing their 2.5 million, their 10 million, their 20 million that's invested in the stock market. We just don't hear it. Of course, there's crashes and drops in the prices of different shares of certain stocks. So that may be how people lose money, but it's not actually losing money. It's just the price of the share has gone down temporarily. So I think the way that we can avoid these certain issues with the banking system is, we need to be more mindful of taking our money and making it work for us. So putting it into investments, putting it into our brokerage account, and getting a better rate of return than what we would get if we just left it in the bank, because the bank is not just leaving your money in its own bank. No, the bank takes your money, the money that you deposit into your checkings account and your savings account, and they take that money and they go out and invest it. They go out, they invest it, they loan it to people, and they charge them interest for those loans, and they collect the interest. And if that person defaults on the loan and stops paying, then they can seize that property or that asset or whatever it is that they borrowed and sell it in foreclosure or sell it in some other way and recoup um, that money. So it's important to understand that there's not that much security in a bank, Yes, it does provide you short-term security in the fact that if you put $10,000 in your savings account, when you wake up tomorrow morning, there will still be the same $10,000. However, because of something called inflation, your $10,000 that you put in your savings account now will not actually be worth $10,000 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now, 40 years from now, hell, even 2 years from now, because again, inflation, you know, we've seen so much change with inflation just in the past year, the past 2 years, because of everything that's been going on. So banking and just trusting the bank and leaving your money in the bank because you think it's secure, it's actually not as secure as we think it is. In fact, um, putting your money in an investment is honestly the most secure thing that you can do now. And people always have this hesitation to invest their money because they think, um, you know, if I invest, what happens if I need that money later? Then I'll have to sell it and it'll just be more work and more hassle for me to get that money back. However, there is such a thing called margin calls, and margin calls is basically where you can basically take a loan out from your own money that's invested. And it's a great thing because you basically can become your own bank. You no longer have to take out a loan from a bank because you basically can keep your stocks, keep your investments, um, and keep your positions in the market, but you can transfer some of that cash back out to yourself for any, short-term purchases or things that you may need to use that money for. And you, of course, will have to put that money back eventually. Let's say something happens, the price goes down, and you may get a call from your financial advisor or a notification from your brokerage institution saying, we need you to deposit $2,000 or $3,000 back into your account. There's been a change in circumstances. So, you know, there is that kind of scenario where, you won't be able to just spend it all and not be able to um account for that, right? So when you do take money out of your stock account, but not in a way where you're selling, but rather where you're doing a margin call, you're basically um like borrowing from your own portfolio, but that money will still have to go back, right? So it's not just free money, it's your own money and it'll still have to go back eventually. So yeah, so that's always an option that you can do. And I really like investing because I know that I am getting a much greater return for my money and my money is working for me. And that's truly how you can create a soft life and a life where you don't have to trade your hours for money, where you don't have to work uncomfortable jobs, demeaning jobs, unfulfilling jobs, or be disrespected or humiliated by employers or coworkers just to be able to pay your bills or feed yourself or feed your family. Um, if you want to have a life where you have true freedom, and true freedom isn't just, the ability to buy whatever you want. True freedom is the ability to spend your time the way you want to spend your time because time is irreplaceable. It's something that you can't get back. No matter how hard you try, you can't get back the 5 hours you spent wasting away doing something or the years that you spent working at a job that you didn't care about. Time is so valuable, and you're truly independent. You're truly free when you can choose how you spend your time. You're truly free and independent when you can choose whether or not to work and whether or not your work will fulfill you, or whether or not your work will slowly kill you and drain your energy and drain your creativity, your curiosity, and your passion for life. So that's that's a little bit of what I wanted to share today. Um, how to have FU money is you need to invest. And the way that you will overcome these hesitations that you may have towards investing is by looking more into the banking system and, seeing it for yourself. I did my best to try to explain it here, why we shouldn't fall for the misconception that banking is the most secure way to hold your money, when in fact it is not. It's gives you an illusion of security because the same dollar amount that you invest, well, not that you invest, the same dollar amount that you place in your bank account is the same dollar amount that you will see the next day, because it's just, a number on the screen. Um, but you're not actually seeing the physical money there because the bank is taking your money and making you work for them. That's why they have limits on how much you can withdraw at a certain time or on a certain day. I think the limit for most ATMs is like, I don't know. I don't even know because I don't withdraw large sums of cash, but I think the limit for most ATMs might be around $6,000 or something like that. But you can't just go to the bank and withdraw from the ATM $50,000. It doesn't work like that because the bank can't let people just take out all that money at once, because they're using your money. They're using your money to go invest it, to go pursue different opportunities where they can double your money for themselves. So, they offer you that incentive to keep it there because they're telling you that it's secure, that investing is too risky. But in fact, they aren't investing your money. Even if it's just using it to give other people loans, that's still an investment for them because they're going to get paid consistently off of the interest rates that they charge on those loans. And, if anything ever happens, they'll be able to go into foreclosure on the property and things of that nature. So remember, the banks want you to believe that just putting your money in a bank account, putting your money in even a CD, a certificate deposit, or different little funds that banks offer to their customers as a way to invest. All of that is just a subpar replacement for the benefits of investing. And when you invest, you can get an annual rate of return of 10 to 12%. And that's being conservative, right? Because um, in good years and really good days in the market, your portfolio might end up giving you a return of 15%, 17%, 20%, 25%. The stock market historically trends upwards, and people don't lose money in the stock market over the long term, right? People who invest for over 20 years, they buy and they hold their money and they let it grow. They don't lose because they know that it is just something that you have to use a long-term approach and make wise decisions and control your emotions, and then you won't have any problems with the stock market. And it's important to buy assets and make your money work for you, and that's how you'll have FU money and true freedom in your life. Okay, so thank you so much for spending this lovely evening or morning or wherever you are with us here at the Spoiled Girls in This podcast. Thanks so much. If you have any questions, comments, or concerns, tell me below. What do you think about the banking system? Whether or not you prefer to just use um, the offers at your bank account, at your bank, such as savings accounts or CDs or different money market funds, whether or not you prefer to use your bank or whether or not you prefer to put most of your money in investments such as the stock market or real estate. Let me know below, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.